Hey crafty friends, this is Nye with All Things Were Created. Today we are going to assemble our layered bicycle with flowers paper craft. As you can see, I have all of my pieces. They are cut out and they are lined up and they're ready to be glued. I have my art glitter glue that I will be using to adhere everything together. And I also have my tweezers here just to kind of help me move around some of these fine detail pieces. And so let's just get started. Before I started the video, I kind of went ahead and I glued down some of my flowers here together. But basically what we're going to do is we're just going to take the two pieces that you have for each of these flowers, and we're going to add a little bit of glue to the back here. And that was a lot that just came out there. And I should be using my tweezers to kind of help me to make sure I get everything lined up. But that's basically what you're going to do for all of these little pink flowers that are along the outside layer here. And then you're just going to add glue to the back and then glue them down. And when you're gluing them down, I didn't do this part before I started the video, but when you're gluing them down, you kind of want to make sure that you're going at different angles and variations, so that way it's not so kind of like rigid and formal in the layer, in the way that the flowers lay here on the paper. So I'm just going ahead and, like I said, I'm adding my glue down and then I'm just kind of changing the angle at which I'm letting them lay here. And I'm going to do the same thing here on the other side. Again, just adding my glue and then just kind of putting them down. I'm also eyeballing the space between the flowers. You don't want to put them all just like that, because then you're going to have a gap. You do want to space them out a little bit. Or if you wanted to put them like that, then you might just need to cut out a few more before you start gluing everything down. So I'm just going to kind of put this one like that right there. And then I'm going to add this one here towards the bottom. And there. Okay, so that was kind of an easy part. I wanted to do that one first because I don't want them to get lost here on my table. And now we're going to start gluing the orange flowers here. So I also went ahead and I glued those down before I started the video. So you can see if I lift this up here, they're not falling off. I left this one here though, so you can see what I did to glue. And basically it's the same thing that you're going to do with the same thing that you did with the pink flowers here. I think I'm talking a little too fast as I'm putting the video together. And then what you want to do though is when you go to put it down, you do want to make sure that you kind of line it right up on top of where the flower should sit and the green is underneath. And so, like I said, I went ahead and I glued this part down already. Let me just lift this one up. This is a very delicate layer. I'm sure our machines had fun trying to cut it out, but that's what the cardstock for intricate cut setting is for. So we can cut out these detailed pieces here. So you can see now I have all of my pieces. They are already glued down, and so they are ready. And what you want to do though when you're gluing them down is just kind of make sure that you've got that orientation that matches up with the way that the green layer is. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the basket layer first too, because this is just another one that it just has a lot of different sections. And then once I start to do the big pieces, I might speed up the video here a little bit for us. So that's one layer of the basket. I'm going from the top down here with this one. And I'm trying to get this stuck there. And I'm using my fingers to hold everything in that right position, so that way everything gets lined up. It's a little bit off right there. Okay. And then just adding a bit of glue to the back. And using my fingers to place it down. And again, same thing here with this last pink layer. And maybe I will even do this one here with the bike handles. And so like I said, I just used my fingers to get it all into the right position. My fingers are kind of that alignment. And so that takes care of this part. I'm also going to go ahead and glue down this part of the handle because this one little piece here is just really tiny and I can see it getting lost here on my table. And so I'm using now my push pin to just kind of help me to get it again into that right position. And I'm going to go ahead and glue the back here of my basket with the one part of the handle. And then I'm going to place it right down on top of the color of my bike. Do you know what? I'm actually going to move this off, I think, too, to make sure that I get it just perfect. There we go. And so you can see it right there. Then you can use your fingers to just make sure that everything is in the correct placement before your glue has a chance to really bond and dry. All right, so that takes care of this part. I'm going to go ahead and glue down now the grass part to the back of the bike here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip over the green, and I'm going to do this one in pieces because it's going to be kind of hard to get it all lined up. And there's like lots of little pieces with the leaves here. So I want to make sure that it's completely lined up correctly. And so I'm also, again, I'm going to use my fingers here to help me to get it in the right position. Oh no, I dropped it. All right, there we go. And I'm going to bring it over just a little bit there. And when you go to place it down, you do want to make sure that it's all lining up. And if it's not, just give your fingers a gentle nudge to move them over. And so you can see that part of my leaves got a little bit off there. I'm going to come in from the top. And then there we go. And when you're ready to do the other side now, you could just bend it a little bit. You can bend it this way, or you can flip it and do it this way. I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to turn mine upside down just so I can see it a little bit better, and so you guys can see it a little bit better in the video. And so I'm just going to come in and add a couple dots here. That one turned out really off. And then I can glue it down. And so again, I'm going to use my fingers here. It's upside down, I know, but I don't want the glue to hit the paper in the wrong spot and then get stuck. And so I'm just using my fingers to press everything down so it all gets in that right position. Okay, and these were the hardest parts of this layering project here. Okay, so I'm going to put this one off to the side here for a moment. And so I've got my basket and I've got this grass part. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip this over, or just move this one, I should say. And I'm going to start to glue down the bottom and work my way from the bottom to the top. So the dark gray layer, or if you decided to make yours, or a lighter gray, that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my glue to the back. You do want to make sure that you're careful with the birds here because they're just hanging on by a little bit. It was really hard to put them in, but I felt like it needed something in the sky there. And so the birds were kind of a necessity. And so as you can see, I'm just kind of coming around. I'm trying to get the glue in some of the bigger sections here and a little bit of the bike. Only because I just want to make sure that all of my pieces of my paper, they do lay down and they are flat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it now in one hand, and I'm going to hold the back layer in my other hand, and I'm going to work on making sure that, again, everything is in that right position. And same thing with my birds. Before they have a chance to really dry, I'm going to use my fingers and to get them there in the right position. And there we go. And so again, you can see a little bit of my glue seeping out here. If you're using the art glitter glue like I am, it's going to dry clear. You're not going to have to worry about that. And there was a piece of this that got stuck. And so I'm just going to press everything down just to make sure that it's all adhering there and gluing together. I'm going to do the same thing now with my lighter gray layer. I'm coming around, I'm adding my glue here to my larger spots. I'm going to come in to add a little bit of glue to the bicycle layer or the bicycle part and getting into, again, those bigger spots to allow the paper to stay adhered to the layer underneath. And once I do, I'm going to use my hands again to help me get it layered one right on top of the other. And so it's also perfect. And then just pressing it down. All right. And again, if you're off just a little bit, you probably have about 5 seconds that you can shift things around before the layers completely dry and then you're stuck. That's just a little side tip for when you're working with layered paper crafts. Plus, it also depends on your glue and whether or not you've pressed it down and allowed it to have a chance to bond and secure. And so again, I'm just doing these larger parts. Let me get a little bit in there. And then I'm going to use my fingers here to get it just right. And so I just thought this would be a little fun craft and paper craft for us to do. You could either do this one for spring or you could do it for summer. Really, whatever your heart's desire there. Okay, so now with the word layer, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in a little bit and get around where my letters are. The little tabs of my letters, I'm going to make sure I'm going to get those too, because those will be the parts that actually might get caught in something and then rip up. So I want to make sure that I've got those laying down on the layer underneath. And so they won't do that. They won't rip and they won't snag on anything. Okay. So just this last little bit here. And that looks pretty good. And so again, and so this is a fun craft, but it's also going to be a really hard one if you decided to make yours much smaller. Only because there's a lot of detail with the flowers. Look, see this one here? And the leaves, and just, you really want to make sure that everything is right on top of each other. But because there's so many fine details with the bike and with the flowers and the grass layer, you just, you might have some difficulty if you cut it down a little bit smaller. So you might have to maybe change the setting even from the cardstock for intricate cut setting. You might need to go and slow your blade down even further. And so again, as you can see, I'm just getting a little bit of the larger parts of the bike here and a little bit on the leaves and the flowers. And then I'm going to use my fingers again. Well, I want to get it there, okay. And I'm going to give it a chance just to get it into the correct spot there, and that looks pretty good. There's a little bit of blue that seems to have been stuck to the paper. So I'm going to use my push pin and just see if I can push it right through there to get rid of it. Okay, that looks like it did it. I think I must have missed it when I was taking my paper off of the mat. And then we're just going to do this part of the bicycle. I don't know what you would call this part here. The colored part of the bicycle, maybe. I don't know. Okay, so again, I'm just adding a little bit of glue and Then I'm going to hold it with my fingers and really just take my time to make sure that I've got it right on top, because this is going to be the spot that's really visible, the most visible, I should say. And there. And just another fun little thing that you could do to kind of embellish it a little bit further would be if you have some grindstones, you could add it right there just to give it a little bit of sparkle and pizzazz. And so that's it. Please be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I hope you enjoy crafting your bicycle.